Good day, madam. So now I'm going to talk about the daily activity that I've been doing that is related to energy, which is cooking. Cooking is related to energy as the egg can't be cooked when there is no heat energy present. This is because the molecules in the egg, which is protein, gain enough energy and shake apart the bonds between the parts of the amino acid strings, causing the proteins to unfold. As the temperature increases, the protein gain enough energy to form new and stronger bonds with other protein molecules. When you cook an egg, the heat first breaks apart the protein or unfold it, and then allows the protein to link to other bonds. As the proteins form these new and stronger bonds, the water that surrounded each protein molecule when the egg was liquid is forced out. That is why the egg changes its state from liquid state to solid state. Not only that, based on the video. Not only that, when cooking, I move my hands regularly. This means that the cellular respiration occurs vigorously by my muscle cells, since it's not a vigorous activity such as running or working out. Muscle cells on my hand is carrying out aerobic respiration, as the oxygen in my muscle cells is not completely used up and capable of undergoing anaerobic respirations. C6H12O6 plus 6O2 produces 6CO2 plus 6H2O plus energy, which the C6H12O6 is glucose and 6O2 is 6 mole of oxygen, and 6CO2, which is the product, is 6 mole of carbon dioxide, and 6 mole of water is the product, and 6 mole of water. The entire aerobic respiration can be summarized by the chemical equation above. To explain more detail, carbohydrate is broken down into glucose. In the cell, glucose is then oxidized by oxygen to release energy. However, aerobic respiration is a complex biochemical reaction, which are catalyzed by the respiratory enzyme. The energy in the glucose is far more useful than a sudden release of energy. So next, we're going to talk about where will the energy in the glucose use it. Small portions of energy is used in maintaining body temperature, and a larger portion of the energy is used to synthesize ATP from ADP. ATP, which is a source of energy, is the main energy supply of all living cells. ADP plus phosphate plus energy produces ATP. When an activity is carried out, ATP is then broken down into phosphate, ADP, and energy is released. The below equation is how ATP is broken down into phosphate, ADP, and energy.
Assalamualaikum and good morning. My name is Kamarul, and for this project I will present about cleansing action of detergent. Before I start, I would like to show some example of detergent structure that known as sodium alkyl sulfate and sodium alkyl benzene sulfonate. From this picture, we can see the hydrophilic and hydrophobic part for each structure. Back to the main point, we usually use washing machine to wash our clothes, but for this project, I will do it manually so that we can see the action and process more clearly. As we can see here, there is a grease stain on the clothes. After around 5 minutes, the clothes being dipped in the detergent solution, the grease stain will disappear. The video right here will show us how can the grease stain disappear. This can be explained by using these 5 features. At first, the detergent will ionize to an ion and cation when dissolved in water. The detergent also will reduce the surface tension of water. This increases the wetting ability of water that will make the surface of clothes is wet thoroughly. Second, the hydrophobic part of detergent and ion dissolve in grease, while the hydrophilic part will be attracted to water molecules. After that, the mechanical agitation during scrubbing helps pull the grease free and also break the grease into small droplets. Last but not least, the droplets will not coagulate and redeposit on surface of the clothes due to repulsion between negative charge on their surface. These droplets are suspended in water and removed through rinsing action. This daily activity also can be done by replacing detergent with soap, but one of the difference between detergent and soap is detergent works effectively in hot water while soap does not. In conclusion, we can say that wash our clothes by using detergent is one of daily activity that related to chemistry. This is all from me. Thank you.
Good day, madam. Today I'm going to talk about activities related to acid in daily life. First of all, I'm going to talk about an incident and 2 applications that are related to acid. Okay, first of all, I'm going to talk about cramps. You know cramps, right? Usually athletes will have cramps. The reason why cramps are being occurred is a lack of oxygen in their muscles. So these lactic acids is the main reason for the cramp. They are produced when the oxygen is below the necessary level. This lactic acid will cause the muscle cramp to be happen. Okay, so this is one of the incident that I have found that mostly related to daily activities which are more to acid. Okay, second, I'm going to talk about pickles. Okay, why pickles? Pickles are soaked in acetic acid. You know, acetic acid is the main cause where they used to do pickles to do the preservation on food. So this is the reason why I choose acetic acid as application of acid. It gives a sour taste and it preserves any of foods. Mostly they'll use this acetic acid to preserve vegetables like you know, right, like the fruits and then vegetables and some other stuffs. Okay, last but not least, I'm going to talk about formic acid. Okay, this formic acid, it's a common thing, but I'm going to talk and relate it to bee stings. Okay, whenever the bee stings, everyone will feel like a paining sensation in our skins. So there is a belief, I'm not sure whether it's a myth, but I found it that everyone believes that a bee sting can cure joint pain, muscle aches and uric acid in every human beings. So whenever the bee stung a human, it releases formic acid into their body. So this formic acid will help a human to control their joint pain, muscle aches, and uric acid. So this is one of the applications that I found that is related to acid in our daily life, in daily routine. So these three things are the main that I found and I wanted to share in this video presentation. So I hope this could be very useful for madam to get to know that I have done a lot of things on this presentation. So thank you and welcome.
Assalamualaikum and good afternoon. My name is Siti Sabrina binti Shahrum Nizal. My metric number is FIS 20102923 and I'm from class 15D. Okay, now I will talk about my daily activities that are related to chemistry, which is oxidation in apples. Have you guys ever think when you slice an apple, after a while, the parts of the apple that have been exposed to the air turn brown? How does this happen? To find out, we need to look inside the apple cells. There are lots of different bits and pieces inside an apple cells, but for now, I would like to focus only on these two, which the first one is phenolic compounds called as phenols, and most of the phenols are contained in other cell tissues. And the second is an enzyme inside an apple called polyphenols oxidase PPO or phenolase. Phenolase sits in small compartments called chloroplasts, which are surrounded by a membrane. So normally the phenolase and phenols in an apple never touch each other. That's why freshly cut apples aren't brown. But when you cut or bite into the apple, you cause cell damage, and cell damage is what brings phenolase and phenols together. By cutting or biting, we'll also expose the apple cells to the air, which contains the oxygen. The combination of it will trigger the oxidation reaction. The process is called as enzymatic browning, which requires these three things to activate. The first one is the oxygen, second is phenols, and the third is polyphenol oxidase or phenolase enzyme. So what actually happens? Inside the cells have phenols and phenolase. When the cell is damaged, and oxygen can get inside, so it allows the phenolase to change the phenol into a molecule of melanin. So when we cut an apple, we see phenols being turned into melanin, and this can only happen when the cell is damaged and phenolase comes in contact with the oxygen. So this is an example of oxidation reaction. Talking about oxidation reaction, what is an oxidation reaction? Oxidation is the loss of an electron. Oxygen is very good at taking electrons, so oxygen and phenolase work together to take electrons from the phenol molecules and turn the phenols into melanin compound. Here's the diagram of the chemical reactions involved in enzymatic browning. When phenols mix with polyphenol oxidase and oxygen, they will produce or create a compound called 1,2-benzoquinone, or can be also called as orthoquinone. Then the individual molecules of orthoquinone will connect together to make larger molecules through a process called polymerization and produce a compound called melanin, which causes the apple to look brown. There are rules for the reaction to occur. Okay, firstly, for orthoquinone, it can only polymerize at certain conditions, which are the temperature and the pH. For the temperature, polymerization only happens at certain temperature, and studies have shown that polyphenol oxidase enzyme reacts best at around 20 degrees Celsius. So if the temperature is even high or even low than the optimal temperature, polyphenol oxidase becomes completely inactive and will not react. Then the second is the pH, which polyphenol oxidase reacts best at a neutral pH of 7. So if we want to prevent the polyphenol oxidase from active, we coated the apple slice with an acid such as orange or a lemon. Then the polyphenol oxidase will inactive and prevent the apple from turning to brown. It is not bad to eat an oxidized apple or other fruit, but the longer a fruit is exposed, the less vitamin it will have, because oxidation affects the nutrient content and it will just throw out our purpose for eating the fruit, right? So in this activity, you'll be experimenting with different kind of fruits around you to see how they relate to my explanation. That's all from us. Thank you and have fun!